imagine that you're sat in a meeting at the National Grid. And the topic, replacing a critical system that manages the entirety of the UK's infrastructure. There's an incumbent supplier of over 20 years, and then someone suggests bringing in a team that have never worked in the energy sector before. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what happened with Exxon, one of our key clients. And not only did we succeed, we created something that energy professionals now use and praise every single day. And so the question is, why? Why would a team with no domain expertise outperform those who spent decades working in the industry? Well, I believe the answer lies in something that I like to call intentional cross-pollination. The art of combining unexpected perspectives to shape tomorrow's innovations. Now, this isn't just about being well-rounded. For me, this is about something far more powerful. You see, in today's world, the most groundbreaking innovations don't happen in silos. They happen at intersections. They happen when someone takes an idea from one field and applies that to a completely different context. When I first started my career, I was purely focused on sales. But then, something interesting started to happen. I began to notice patterns. Patterns between the technical problems that my engineers were solving and the business challenges that my clients were describing. And this ability to bridge those worlds, to translate between business and technology, well, this became invaluable. But here's the fascinating thing. The same principles played out in my music career about 15 years earlier. So the sounds that I, as blacksmith, as I was known, became known for, wasn't created by just mastering one genre. It came about from combining influences that no one else was bringing together at the time. Mixing jazz with dubstep, R&B with house music, gospel, garage. But this isn't about my journey. Let's take a look at some of the most innovative solutions that we see out there in the world today. Perhaps using the retail sector as an example. The most effective inventory management systems. Well, they were inspired by real-time transit tracking used by railway companies. Or think about some of those personalized shopping experiences that we all know and love. Well, they evolved from techniques first pioneered by media companies. In fact, let me give you an example that I witnessed firsthand. When a major UK retailer came to us looking for help in how to handle spikes in online traffic during Black Friday, we didn't just look at other retail solutions. Instead, we applied what we had learned from building national government voting systems. Technology designed to handle millions of users simultaneously on election day. So, different problem, but same underlying pattern. But here's the challenge that we face today. Our education system, our career paths, even our job titles, they all push us towards specialization. And there's comfort in that, right? Being an expert in one thing, it feels safe, feels reliable. And yet, the evidence tells us something different. Research in over 17,000 patents shows that yes, while specialist teams do produce consistently good results, it's those diverse, cross-disciplinary teams that create those breakthrough innovations, those game changers that transform industries. And so, this brings us to the crucial concept that I want to share with you today. The T-shaped individual. If you imagine the letter T, as I've made easy for you here, well, the vertical line, that represents your deep expertise in your chosen field, right? Your specialism, if you will. But what's really interesting is the horizontal line, right? That represents your ability to connect to other disciplines, to speak other professional languages. In the world of artificial intelligence, within which I work extensively these days, this has never been more important. The best AI solutions out there don't come from the technology alone. They come from combining technical expertise with an understanding of business strategy, of societal ethics, of human psychology. But here's what I think is really exciting, especially for all of you here today, is that you are at the perfect stage in your careers to start building out your T-shape. Every subject you study, every hobby you pursue, every interest that you develop, these aren't distractions from your main path, they're building your capacity for cross-pollination. Let me tell you what happens when you embrace this mindset. When my teams and I worked with major financial institutions like Starling Bank and Lloyds, we didn't just see payment systems. We saw an opportunity to transform customer experiences. We brought together insights from user psychology, from security architecture, from interface design, in ways that traditional banking experts hadn't yet considered. Think about some of the apps that you all must use every single day, right? The ones that you love aren't just technically sound. They understand human behavior. They anticipate your needs. They delight you in unexpected ways. That's not coincidence. That is cross-pollination in action. But now here's the interesting thing about tomorrow's challenges, is that they're becoming far too complex for any one discipline to solve. Climate change, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering. These aren't just technical challenges, they're not just ethical challenges, and they're not even just business challenges. They're all of these things intertwined. And that is where you all come in. Right now, sitting in this room, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, yeah, this is great, but I'm just a student. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I want to do. But that is exactly your advantage. You haven't been confined by industry boundaries yet. You haven't been told what's impossible. You're in the perfect position to become what I like to call the informed rebel. When I combine my understanding of music with technology, I see patterns that others miss. When I apply my sales experience to technical problems, I find solutions that pure traditional technologists might overlook. But it's not about, having every skill. It's about being curious enough to spot the connections. So, how do you start? Well, it's actually simpler than you might think. Number one, stay curious. Right? Stay curious in fields beyond your primary interest. Maybe you love computer science. Why don't you study psychology as well? Or maybe you're really into biology. Why don't you go and learn about design thinking? These aren't distractions from your main path. They're your future innovation toolkit. Number two, start to look for patterns across these fields. The way that a cell organizes itself might inspire a new way to think about computer structures. Or the principles of jazz improvisation might inform how you think about adaptive AI systems. And number three, this is the important one, don't be afraid to be the person to ask the supposedly naive questions. In my company, some of the greatest innovations that we've had, I think, have come around from someone having the courage to stand up and say, look, I know this is going to sound really weird, hear me out, what if we try X, Y, and Z? You see, we're entering an era where AI isn't just transforming industries, it's creating entirely new ones. Where climate change isn't just an environmental challenge, it's reshaping economies. Where the line between physical and digital is becoming blurred in ways that we never imagined. And in that world, the most powerful people won't be the ones who have all the answers. It'll be the ones who know how to ask the right questions, who can spot the connections that others miss, who can bring together different worlds. I look at my own journey from sales to technology to AI innovation, and I realised that every seeming detour actually added another colour to my palette, right? Another tool to my toolkit. Here's my challenge for all of you here today. I want you all to go out and find something that you know nothing about, something completely unrelated to your main interests. And I want you to spend just 1 hour learning about it. But here's the key. As you do, I want you to think what patterns here might apply to what I already know. Maybe you're a mathematician. Go and look at how artists compose paintings. You might discover a new way to think about problem solving. Or maybe biology is your thing, right? Go and look into architecture and the way that buildings distribute stress might give you insights into cellular structures. Because here's what I know, what I've learned, and what I believe to be true, is the future doesn't belong to specialists alone. The future belongs to the pattern spotters, the connection makers, the boundary crossers. In other words, people like you, people who aren't afraid to look beyond the obvious, to connect the unconnected, to shape tomorrow by bringing together the best of different worlds. Remember, the most powerful innovation doesn't come from knowing everything about one thing. It comes from being curious enough to spot the connections between many things. That is how we'll make a difference. That is how I believe we'll shape tomorrow. My name's Yemi. Thank you for listening.